What is up, everybody? Welcome to my Sunday Outlook, the weekly Outlook. Hope you guys are all having a good weekend and it's a good start to the week. We are finishing up our last full trading week of September, and it is going to be a very busy week. We're going to look at the economic calendar right now. I'm going to be looking at a couple different setups. You'll actually notice on today's weekly outlook, I don't have any specific pairs marked off. That's because I'm going to talk about quite a few of them, and we're going to be jumping into that. Other than that, guys, welcome. Just keep in mind that don't take any of this as financial or investment advice, please. Keep in mind that this is just my opinion, all right? It's just my commentary on the market. I can be wrong sometimes, and that's just a part of trading, managing our risks. So let's go ahead and just jump into the start. And if you guys have any questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat, or if you want to see any specific pairs or you want me to look up anything or just have any questions, throw them in the chat. And even if you're just watching the recording, if you have a question, you can put in the comments. I'll get back to you. And please smash that like button, guys, and make sure you're subscribed if you're not. We actually, like 1 hour ago, hit 1.5K subscribers. So I also want to thank you guys for your support, and it doesn't go unnoticed. I really appreciate it. Like, that's a big milestone, even though it's not like a lot compared to channels that have like millions of subscribers, but knowing that 1.5K people care enough to subscribe and be here, that means a lot to me. So appreciate it. Somebody says sound. Let me just, okay, I think the sound should be good. Michael, if you, I'm assuming that the sound is all right because you're the only one saying it. Maybe turn it up a little bit, but on my end, I can see the volume button, so it looks good. So I'm just gonna keep going, but this week is very busy in terms of fundamentals, guys. There was a lot of fundamentals last week, okay? So I kind of also just want to very quickly recap last week before we jump into things. So last Wednesday, the Federal Reserve met, okay? They decided to cut interest rates, okay, by 25 basis points. So we went from 2.25, or well, it's technically between 2 and 2.25, now down to 1.75 to 2%. And what was very important was the press conference with Mr. Powell after the interest rate decision. And this is just kind of a good example of why I only, like me personally, I use that. I mean, maybe there'll be times on like a scalping scenario or whatnot with, not interest rate decisions, but in a different type of scenario. But mostly I use the economic calendar just to be able to determine when there's going to be volatility. So I know to be out of the market, not to jump into the market because of the news. Again, except for, there's specific times. But in this case, an interest rate decision, you don't want to be like gambling with that. And, generally speaking, when we talk about cutting interest rates, that's usually going to be bad for a country, right? Or it's going to inflate a currency, right? If there's lower interest rates, people can borrow money at a lower interest rate. Banks can borrow money at a lower interest rate, and that's going to create inflation, whereas the exact opposite, interest rates going up, that usually helps deflate economy, appreciate the currency by increasing interest rates, where people don't want to lend when the interest rates are higher than they previously were, right? So this is so when they're cutting interest rates is known as what's called an easing process. When they're raising interest rates, that's what's known as a tightening process. So it's interesting with the Federal Reserve because we've actually been in a tightening process for over the past decade. Cut interest rates by 25 basis points and then again by 25 basis points. And just the main reason why I want to speak on this is because what's very important, the takeaway from this, is to actually know that Powell had a pretty overall dovish tone towards the US dollar, right? He basically said in short that they think basically that this interest rate cut might have not been necessary, and that they might not be cutting interest rates as quick as they thought, or as many as there would be on their projection. So they're going to probably change the projection, and we might see interest rates stay here for a while. In fact, there's a possibility we might see interest rates just go back up soon, and the easing just stop like that. So we'll see what happens. But as of right now, that's where we stand. And so, yeah, that's where we stand with the U.S. dollar. And there were also two other interest rate decisions. Actually, no, three other interest rate decisions last week. So there's a total of four. We had the interest rate decision from the Bank of Japan for the yen. We had an interest rate decision for the SMB for the Swiss franc on Thursday, and then we had another interest rate decision for the UK for the pound on Thursday. So it was a crazy week last week. I hope you guys were able to maybe capitalize on a couple of these moves. We did in our group. We made some money scalping and taking a couple trades last week, so that was nice. But going into this week, the volatility, I wouldn't expect the volatility to stop because there's a ton of PMIs. So for the whole Eurozone, actually to start off the week, right at the beginning of the London session, so in about like 7 hours from right now, we're going to see a whole slew of PMIs come out for France, Germany, and then just some Eurozone flash PMIs as a whole. And then early morning, if you're in the US, we're going to see Mario Draghi, who is the president of the ECB, speaking. And then we also have tomorrow, so this is all happening on Monday, Governor Kuroda from the Bank of Japan speaking. So two central bank speakers and a bunch of PMIs to start off the week. Tuesday, we have Governor Lowe from the RBA speaking, as well as consumer confidence for the US dollar, and then an interest rate decision from the RBNZ, right, for New Zealand. So to start off the week, Monday, Tuesday, lots of volatility. Wednesday, it's going to slow down a little bit. Thursday, it's going to pick right back up. We have some final GDP quarter over quarter coming out for the US. That's big, right? Always, if you guys ever are wondering, like, what are some key fundamental things to look at for a country, GDP and CPI are probably going to be like the two biggest ones, okay? GDP is just like growth, right? That's calculated. They have two ways of calculating GDP. They have an expenditure method and an income method, but ideally those numbers should really be the same. And I give this example to my students, like, you know, if you go to a store, it doesn't matter in terms of GDP, like if you're calculating amounts, it doesn't matter if you're the consumer or you're the merchant, right? If you are the store and you buy a bag of chips for $3, right? Well, the store made $3, but you also spent that same $3. So it's still same $3. So that's why GDP can be calculated in two ways. They just slightly vary. But that, and then we also have more. It looks like almost every major central bank is going to be speaking this week, right? We got Mario Draghi again on Thursday. We got Governor Carney from the Bank of England Thursday. We have an FOMC member, Bullard, speaking, an FOMC press conference on Thursday, and then Friday we tone it down just a little bit, but not too much, with a core durable goods orders for the U.S. and personal spending, okay? So make sure, like I said, guys, like I don't use this as necessarily a tool to go trading off of, but I use it as a tool to be able to measure and expect volatility. So in terms of my book, if you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, this week is definitely like it's up there. You know, it's like a 9 or a 10 in terms of how volatile I'm going to expect this week to be. Okay. Now let's go ahead and look at the charts. All right. So let me just be brutally, just straightforward and clear that I am bullish on the dollar as of right now. Okay. I'm actually in a buy on the dollar. I'm buying the US dollar on a pair right now. And I am expecting the dollar index to continue going higher. And a lot of this has to do with the fundamental side, okay? Not so much the technicals, all right? Because with the technicals, you can look at the dollar index and you can say, you know, it's stuck in a range. That's clearly marked off here with this orange channel that we have, and you can see Euro USD is the exact opposite, right? So it's kind of hard to do a coin toss and say it's going to go up or down. But when you take away looking at just the technicals and you add in the fundamentals, you look at what's going on right now, you see easing happening right now. And although it might be, not, what Powell wants to see, it is happening. That's like quite literally what is happening is easing is happening. And if we actually look at the interest rates, right, we look at the interest rates of all the different central banks. We have the US has the highest interest rate right now. So this is going to be in terms of this interest rate trickles down all the way to banks, borrowing from banks, consumers. We aren't just talking about banks either. We're talking about consumers, right? Like, guys, literally, if you live in the US and you have, if you have an online savings account or you have a savings account in the US, generally an online savings account, because if you have like let me just give you an example, like a real example. So there's a bank here in the US, they are only based online, and they're called Ally Bank, all right? Ally Bank is known for having a very high online savings account APR, right? So you put money in and they'll give you, maybe I don't know exact. I think it's a little bit over 2% right now. I think it's like 2 point something percent. So, but literally, if you have an account with Ally, you would have gotten an email just the other day on Wednesday when the Federal Reserve cut central bank rates. You would have gotten an email, or you did get an email from Ally saying that your annual interest rate that your savings account went down. Okay, so it affects every player, every participant in it. Okay, but let's think about if you are, let's say you have billions of, not even necessarily billions of dollars. You're a millionaire, multi-millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars, or you don't even have to have like millions of dollars. You can just have, a net worth or money to invest. You are going to be wanting to put it in banks that are in the US, right? Because if we look at the interest rates, where are you going to get, what country is giving the best interest rates right now? Well, it's the US. So the US has this sort of intrinsic value where it's a good idea to there's demand for the US dollar because people want to put their money in the US dollar right now. All right, because we see a lot of, you look at like the yen, right? It has negative interest rates. You look at the S&B, negative interest rates, right? Now, this is interesting too because you guys have probably heard of like banks in Switzerland, right? Banks in Switzerland, I mean, a lot of people, specifically high net worth individuals, keep money in Switzerland, right? They actually have Swiss franc, actual cash, cash reserves by the, backing up their accounts. And that's because they're a strong country, right? They are in terms of finance, right? They pay back their debts. They do good business, so they're a very strong. They have a very strong central bank. But with the U.S. paying a high interest rate, it's a lot of people want that's just what investors do, right? They move their money to where they're going to get the highest returns in the shortest amount of time possible, right? That's investing when you talk in terms of smart money. So that's a part of, I don't even have, I could go hours into why I'm bullish on the US dollar, but that's just kind of scratching the surface. One of the reasons why, just like the same reason why I've given you guys a little bit of like tidbits with looking at like the commitment of traders in the past, right? Looking at the COT report that gets released once a week, right? I try to drop little tidbits and give you guys reasons that go beyond just technical analysis, looking at a trend line in a supply and demand area, right? That's very, very valid, but we need that fundamental backing too. So I am bullish on the US dollar, all right? That means I am buying the US dollar. Okay, I think Euro USD will continue dropping. I think it'll get towards our 2019 low and continue dropping. I think gold will continue going down. Okay, I'll actually come back to gold in a second because I posted a chart. You guys probably want a little bit of commentary on that, so I'll talk about that. I think USD Swiss franc is going to move up towards parity, which It just needs to, if we look at it on the daily, USD Swiss franc needs to break this 99.50 zone for us to continue moving up higher, but I think parity is inbound for USD Swiss franc. AUD USD and NZD USD, I think both of these pairs will continue lower as well. I think they will continue majorly lower. Like New Zealand dollar, US dollar, I think will continue going for a couple hundred more pips. It just last week made new yearly lows, which is pretty crazy to think. When a lot of the market is sideways right now. AUD USD continue to drop lower. You guys will remember I posted this in Telegram. I posted this nice buy setup in Telegram at the end of August. And I think USD CAD at this point, I know I've told you guys for a while. I've been sitting, waiting. I've actually taken, if you look, actually watch. Let me go to my setups. I've taken, I've taken 2 trades on USD CAD in the past month, and both just break-even trades. So this one just recently took like last week, or was it the week before last? Let me check my calendar. The 16th. It was the week before last, or last week, beginning of last week. Took this trade, ended up being a break-even trade. We ended up closing this very, very quickly, and within like the first 12 hours of opening this trade, it just did not find the momentum to the downside, and we can see that that's good because it ended up ranging after we got out of it. So that was a break-even trade, and then back here too, or actually middle of August right here, closed it break-even on August 27th. Held this trade for like 2 weeks. And ended up closing it break-even. So I have been waiting patiently. I've taken a couple stabs at selling USD CAD. It hasn't worked out. I mean, it hasn't not worked out, right? It's not like it lost anything, didn't make anything though. And we're just seeing a lot of consolidation and pretty much just a complete lack of momentum to the downside. It really looks like USD CAD could potentially go higher, but I will not be surprised if we see the US dollar like stay bullish and Euro USD drop, USD Swiss franc go up, gold drop, that type of thing. And USD CAD potentially drop also. Okay, that's because with oil, and I hope you guys have been paying attention to the news and you guys have heard, like there's some really fucked up shit going on, guys, in like the Middle East, and not even just the Middle East, just Saudi Arabia, Iran, all this stuff. It's pretty messed up. I don't like pick a side with anything that's going on, but it's pretty crazy. There's just like it's crazy to me when it's just like normal that there's just like bombings happening, and it's just like such a crazy fucked up world. And it's affecting things like oil, right? I mean, it's all for the oil. That's why this world revolves around oil, or a lot of this world's wealth revolves around oil and the need for it and the demand for it and the supply for it. So I can see oil continuing to move up higher as the demand grows for oil with the news. I think oil will find value, and that's the reason why I think that we could see USD CAD drop even if the US dollar goes bullish, because a lot of people want to look at just USD CAD, and if you aren't familiar with the oil and how strongly it ties to the Canadian dollar, you might think just because the US dollar is strong that it's going to go up. I mean, let me just give you guys a great example. Like, look at USD CAD. It is actually let's just take this year, okay? This year, we are in a downtrend, okay? We are kind of sideways, but we are making a series of lower lows and lower highs. We are technically in a downtrend. The dollar index, let's just go from the beginning of this year, is in an uptrend, okay? So very important, like I hope you guys have this in your notes and you just at least remember this, that with USD CAD, the US dollar strength is not nearly as important as following the Canadian dollar strength in oil when it comes to USD CAD. 100%, okay? Focus on oil and the Canadian dollar when you're looking at a thing like USD CAD. Don't think, the dollar index is bullish, so I should buy USD CAD, because clearly that is not the case. There's been many times, I mean, just take this major drop from June to July, right? When we were in this major drop in USD CAD. Do you see a major drop in the dollar index? No, we actually see a major rally during that time on the dollar, okay? So just important to not get that tunnel vision with the US dollar when it comes to USD CAD, okay? So I think it could go both ways at this point, but you know, I would like to look for a sell, but at this point, I'm going to wait for my alerts. You'll actually see I have 4 alerts on USD CAD, and I would only be looking to sell USD CAD if it got down to these alerts, because right now it's the trend, the short-term trend is undetermined in my opinion. Okay. Let me look at gold though, because you guys might be curious, because I posted a chart on Friday that, and I haven't moved anything. This arrow was right here. Everything's here. The only thing that's changed is price has filled in a little bit. All right. Overall on gold, we're still sideways. Okay, we're still ranging. I know the last couple hours of last week, I got a couple messages about this over the weekend, that I posted this chart a couple hours before the markets closed, and then right before the markets closed, gold rallied. And guys, it's not a smart decision when there's these trade talks and all this stuff going to take a trade and hold it over the weekend, or at least a gold trade and hold it over the weekend. So to anybody that sold gold immediately and lost money because I posted an arrow going down, like, come on guys, you gotta be using your brains. I specifically even put the arrow over a little bit further because I'm not expecting this to happen for a couple of days, right? If I put the arrow like that, then that would be a different story. But go look at the screenshot. Go look at the screenshot. I haven't even moved the arrow except for right there. I'm not expecting the downside on gold to happen immediately, okay? But that is the move. I think within this week and 2 weeks maximum, I think it'll happen this week, but within 2 weeks maximum, because we have so much volatility this week. That's the thing, is we have so many things that can send gold down this week, or catalysts for volatility to pick up. I think it's going to happen this week, but maximum end of next week, gold will be down to where my arrow is, okay? Can't guarantee anything, guys. Again, this isn't financial advice. I'm just here to give you some insight. Hope you guys will look at, you know, at least take into consideration what I'm saying, you know, the big fundamental spiel I had with the US dollar. Because remember, strong US dollar, gold goes down. Weak US dollar, gold goes up, generally speaking. Okay, and I'm bullish on the dollar. So I'm still holding my ground with a short, well, I'm not in a short on gold, but in a bias to a short on gold. I will get into a short when I see the right price action, but yeah, that is it. So that's pretty much it for the week, guys. I hope that was straight into the point, that I'm bullish on the US dollar. There's going to be some exciting, also, I don't even know how I didn't say this. I wish I would have said this earlier, because there's probably some people that have left already. I'm finishing it in the next, I mean, it'll either be done by tonight or tomorrow. I am releasing, I mean, I can release it whenever, but I made a nice website for it. I'm in the process of making a nice website for it with video testimonies and all this good stuff. I am opening up my second 6-week class, all right? So I did a 6-week program, a 6-week boot camp about a month and a half ago, and it was a major success, very well received, and I'm doing it for a second time. And so I think pretty much every quarter, you know, once every like 3 months or so, I want to do something like this. It's limited to 10 people maximum, because it's 6 weeks long. It's very intense. It's very like in an intimate, like closed environment. I don't want to have like 50 people doing it, so it's 10 people maximum. If you guys are interested in that, you'll see stuff on my social media and Telegram, or you can message me about it before. But that will be there. And then, yeah, the group that I have with my students right now is still not technically in pre-launch, or it is in pre-launch, but I haven't done enough marketing or have my website done for that yet either. So my signals group and daily webinars and mentorship group is by request only right now. I don't have a specific website to go to, because long story short, I don't know if you guys even know what happened to my website. A couple months ago, I was asked to update my website. I got a call from the people that host my website, and they needed me to update my WordPress version, and so I did. And along with updating the WordPress, it like outdated all of my plugins and all of my apps, and it was a whole mess. And I have to just get the entire website rebuilt. They just, in their whole backup servers, just completely went to crap. And yeah, it was just this whole ordeal. Lost my entire website database essentially, and have to start over from scratch. So it's been a process, especially with traveling. I just got back from Thailand too. I hope you guys got to see some of my stories or whatnot on social media. I just literally got back 2 days ago from spending 2 weeks in Thailand, and it's because of Forex, guys. It's the ability to be able to trade, literally wake up. You guys saw when I was in Thailand taking trades, like I'm able to be anywhere in the world as long as I have an internet connection, and the internet out there is actually pretty damn fast. So, you know, it's the freedom is what it's all about, guys. I just don't want any of you guys to miss out on being able to attain this. It's pretty it's crazy when you get to this level, when it's just kind of what do they say, unconscious competence, right? You're just unconsciously able to be competent about what you're doing. If you guys have ever heard of the 4 levels of competence or anything, that's like the level you should strive to be at with anything. So other than that, guys, I appreciate all of you guys. Thanks so much for taking the time out of your Sunday afternoon. I know there's a million other things you could be doing in your life, but you chose to spend it with me the past 30 minutes, so it really means a lot. If you have not smashed that like button, please do so if you got value out of today. Whether you're watching this live or the recording, please smash the like. It helps the video get out to other people with the algorithm, and that other people just like you that would get some value out of it. And definitely make sure you're subscribed. And also, a lot of you guys don't even know that I have a playlist. Go to my playlists, and I have a playlist of completely free education. A lot of you guys have probably already seen it. A lot of you guys probably haven't seen it, though, so go check it out. It's completely free, like hours and hours of free material. It's like it's the highest out of, I think I was looking at my statistics. I have like over 120 videos, and those are like the top videos I've ever done on this YouTube channel. So I think that it's pretty well curated, but let me know what you guys think. Appreciate you guys. Oh, Tresman, you want to know my outlook on the pound dollar? I am not really too interested in trading the pound. So anything to do with the pound right now, I have zero interest in, right? We're way too close to the Brexit deadline, or what's supposed to be the Brexit, or well, I mean, it's just going to be the next vote, right? October 31st. So probably won't be trading anything related to the pound until after October 31st. So we got a month and a couple days left until I trade that. But yeah, other than that, I will see you guys next week. Students, I will see you guys tomorrow for the daily webinar. Take care and have a safe week, guys.